Sup guys, Steven here today, and today what I wanted to talk to you about is the poor man's guide to fucking burning fat and building muscle. So it's funny that I called it that because I don't know. To me personally, I feel like today's world, or today, to like be fit, you're just fucking sold constantly, or people are always trying to sell you like, get this product, get creatine, fucking do this, take these vitamins. And while that may work and be true, I feel like there is always a better and simpler and more natural way to go about it, right? Now, to start this off, I essentially decided sometime in, I think it was like January or February, that I was a little hefty, right? Like after my accident, I like discovered Mike's Hard Lemonade, and that shit was fucking awesome. So like I just started just pounding Mike's Hard, and then I just gained like 5 or 10 pounds. It was terrible. And I just instantly felt myself get heavier. I started even like lower energy levels, just kind of like it was harder for me to focus on shit. So like, fuck this, not gonna happen. So I took it upon myself to essentially get rid of it, right? Now, I'm just gonna make it really simple, right? Most of what this video is going to serve is just give you the how-to and like some light information sprinkled here and there. Because I feel like everyone knows what to fucking do. Just diet and exercise, right? That is it. That is literally it. You could stop this video right now after that. Like all you have to do is just every day or in a week, make sure you work out all the muscle groups. Give each muscle group its day. And then you also make sure that you eat well. Like you don't eat processed foods. Right? And then at the same time, you fucking drink a lot of water. Like a lot of water. Like you just pound it down. Shoot for a gallon because it'll help you in this process of raising the circulation of your body and essentially helping your body purify your body from all the bullshit that you've put in it. Toxins, chemicals, substances, blah, 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 blah. Right? That's pretty much the video. Right? But anyways, if you want to go more in depth, this is essentially how I think about it. Calories in, calories out. Right? So what that means is essentially there is a rate or a number of calories at which your body operates optimally. What this means is you need this certain amount of calories to fucking live, like just to live and function. How you calculate that? Well, there are many guides online to do it. I believe one way is taking your pounds and multiplying by a number, or how much you weigh and multiplying by a number, blah, blah, blah. So figure that out. And that they call that the basal metabolic rate, right? That is essential. As I said, the calories you burn at rest, or how I simplify it to is how much fucking calories you need to stay alive, right? You can use a calculator. Another one, or what's more precise, a more precise way of doing it is essentially just writing down everything you eat for a week and then seeing if your weight fluctuates. If it does, then you're probably having to eat less, right? So you figure out how much you keep essentially tweaking how much you eat or what you eat until you find the amount of number that makes it to where your weight stays the same. That's another way of going about it, right? Now, if you're trying to fucking lose weight, what you have to do is take that number and then subtract it What I like to do is actually subtract it by 500 or even 800. Like I literally like empty myself or kill myself. Because what you're trying to do is make it to where your body burns off the supplies that it's holding on onto your body right now and convert it into muscle. What supplies are you talking about? The fat, right? Fat is actually how we store energy in the body. This is why we're able to gain weight or lose weight. Because back then, in caveman days, they were like, oh shit, your body was like, oh shit, he might fucking die. So whatever he eats, I will hang on to it. That way, when the winter is coming, when the winter has come, and it's fucking cold as shit outside, and no animals are available to prey or hunt on, he can just burn this off and hang on for however long until he finds some special grass that he can eat, some special berries or fruits, and he won't die. So that's how it worked, right? So what you do is you subtract that number. You subtract 500, 800, whatever, right? What I personally like to do is literally just cut down the amount of meals that I eat in a day. I love fucking food, and I notice personally that I don't do well with like trying to get in 6 meals a day, right? I'm a huge eater, so I'll just fucking make a fat ass plate and eat that, and try to just drink water and like small snacks like almonds or something like veggies throughout the day. I'll literally talk about what I did in that period from February to I think it was like March or April to lose all the weight, and then I might even do a timeline, right? So what you're trying to do is literally force your body to burn off the energy supplies or the fat that it has and convert it into muscle, right? At the same time that you're essentially lowering the number, you also want to eat foods that are more slow burning or fast burning depending on the body type. And that's another thing I'm about to get into right now. So there's this concept or this idea that I love thinking about, and it's essentially the oven concept. And what you have to think about is like there's this fucking oven, right? There's an oven right here in your body, right? And it burns the food. Like it takes care of digesting everything that you eat. And it essentially burns it, breaks it down, digests it, and absorbs the minerals, vitamin, protein, calories, fat from it, right? So it breaks down the food that you have. Now what happens is, because of the ridiculously fucking wide variation that we have today, variation in diets, foods, quality of foods, we have evolved into having now, and it's where it has before when everything was nice and balanced and your oven was just well lit. Some people have not so well lit oven. What this means is for them, they don't burn or digest food easily. It takes them a long fucking time. So for them, for some people, they're able to literally eat things like fruits and like nuts and all that, and they can live on that because their oven is not that well lit, right? So they're literally, the fruit takes them forever because their oven isn't that well lit. Some people though, they have what are called, or what I call, a very fucking incredibly or overlit oven. And what that means is any food that they fucking eat, their body just burns or digests it and burns through it ridiculously quickly, right? So you've heard of like fast metabolism and slow metabolism. That's essentially it, right? But I don't think, personally, I theoretically believe that it's not so much tied into the metabolism, but it's just tied to the rate at which they burn through the food. Maybe it has something to do with their stomach and pancreas and intestines. I'm not really sure. Haven't really dove into it that further, but intuitively, that's what I experienced, right? Because when I was obese, my oven was not that well lit because I think I was not balanced, like spiritually, energetically, everything. So when I ate food, it would stay there, and I would literally feel myself heavy. And instead of like being into it and being aligned and in sync with my body and going into my body and realizing what I'm feeling, I was like, fuck it, more food, pound it down and pound it down. One cool thing, or something to remember, and the reason why I drink a lot of water, the hypothalamus system, which is essentially a system that regulates water in the body. And because of this environment where everything, it's polluted, meaning like as opposed to before where trees and living in nature and in sync with nature allowed us to essentially breathe a more cleaner air because the trees remove them from the clouds and the environment and essentially purify the ecosystem. We have more pollution to deal with. And so now what that has done is it's thrown our entire fucking body off kilter, where we're in places where, like for example, our senses are not as sharp as they should be, right? And conversely, if you do things right, because our DNA has evolved, when you do it right and you do live right, they are so much sharper than they've ever been, right? So we have that potential, and it's just an incredible time to be living in. But anyways, because we're off kilter, everything, there are certain slight errors, right? Like for example, in physics, science, they tell you that like a 0.2, a 0.3, a 0.4 error, percent error, not even a 1%, but a 0.4, 0.5 fucking percent error in your measurement fucking throws the entire experiment off, right? Because that error compounds and multiplies and gets tied into other calculations, which get tied into other calculations, which essentially make the entire fucking mathematical model or whatever it is that you're trying to build obsolete because it's fucking false. Based on this tiny thing. It's the same thing with our body. So because of that now, things like the water system, the system that regulates water, that essentially tells you, sends a signal, I am thirsty, it's off-kiltered. What this means, practically speaking or concretely, is that when you're feeling fucking thirsty, like right now I'm kind of thirsty, I probably got dehydrated and am probably like starving for water a long fucking time ago. Like I'm probably peeing like orange or yellow, right? So what this means is you have to drink way more water than you think it's necessary to compensate for that. Another thing is, because of this environment and like the loss or there's no longer a priority or valuing building self or building yourself, your self-development, your internal, sharpening your senses. Essentially, there's no longer a priority on self-mastery. We've also lost control over our physiological senses and urges. So we've lost control over our ability to fucking discern what is even realistically going on in our body. What this translates to is there are moments when, for example, you feel like you're hungry, but in reality, you're fucking thirsty. So what that happens is the body sent, like the hypothalamus is like, he's thirsty. But we physiologically, because, I don't know, what bullshit, the noise, advertising, blah, 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 we live in, we mistake that thirst signal for food or appetite. And so this is the idea of comfort eating, right? When people are like, oh, I'm bored, so I eat. Well, no, you're actually thirsty, but you just eat because it's a lot easier to shove cheeseburger in your mouth than to be like, I should drink water and then make a decision. So those are literal things that happen from it. But back to it, remember, drink a fuck ton of water. Shoot for like a gallon a day minimum. When I started, as I mentioned on my video, Beast Mode Mentality, I might post a link again. I literally carried a gallon of water with me everywhere. This was in high school. And it sucked because, like, I would pee every single class. Teachers probably got pissed. But I was so happy because I could feel, like, instantly the benefits of that. Like, I could feel it. And it's just so incredible. You just never want to get off that train. You never want to go back. So that's an incredible way to help your fitness transformation journey along. So remember, slow burning oven, you digest food very slowly. So shoot for fast digesting foods. This means concretely is not going for the pasta, but instead going for the fruits or going for protein, because protein and fruits are lower in calories and they typically don't take too long to burn. They don't take too long to burn, but they're also hydrating. And that's the biggest thing I wanted to say. Fruits are incredibly hydrating in water. And when you're losing weight or something, and maybe you're obese or fat, that's going to be one of the biggest things you'll feel, like this constant thirst. And depending on how well you take care and manage that thirst, you will see the result. Furthermore, it's actually going to translate in the result you see in your workouts, the energy levels that you'll have, etc., etc., your ability to maybe use correct form on your exercise and maintain your willpower and become engaged in your workout, as opposed to just going through emotions, slacking on form, and not fully being present and isolating the muscles like you should be, right? And again, fast or overlit oven, and that's when you pick the slow burning foods, things like pasta, like the heavy carbs. There is literally a list, last time I checked online, of slower burning foods, fast burning foods, and I suggest everyone checks it out because that shit will fucking help you. That's also another swag way of essentially planning your way of eating, right? If, for example, you go to work and maybe you don't like eating a huge meal like I do, and maybe you have a fast burning oven, right? You can start actively thinking about the foods that you can eat that are slow burning and that are also not too long, not too hard to make, that you can just drop in along the way. Something else that I wanted to mention is the idea of using sugars, right? A lot of people will like talk shit on it because you're like, what? Losing weight? Don't you want to avoid sugars? But that is true. But what I'm trying to say is there's a strategic way of going about it, and that is essentially understanding the idea of fast-acting sugars and slow-acting sugars. And this is actually more in relations to carbs, right? There are some carbs where you essentially eat it and it takes a long time for your body to remove the sugars from it, right? Things like pasta, things like bread, right? There are other sugars where your body literally instantly feels it, things like candy and soda, right? So me personally, what I like to do is, if I haven't eaten anything all day, I'll go work out and then I'll drink soda after, because I know then and there that my body needs that. Like, I haven't done shit, I haven't fed it or anything, and more than anything, I'm the kind of person who can't eat after working out, right? But if my workouts are like usually around like, or when I usually finish my workouts around like 10 or 11 and I get home, I can't eat anything, but I need to eat because the next day I'm going to repeat, do something even longer, maybe do even more events, soccer or work on my business, etc. Like, I'm going to need carbs because carbs help with energy, right? Carbs are the energy source of the body, right? Fat are the energy storage of the body, and that's why fats, when they get broken down, they turn into energy or carbs that the body can use. And protein are the muscle, not even the muscle building, but you can think of like, you think of them as like the builders of the body. They're the things that shape it, right? That's why they talk about having complete proteins, because a protein is comprised of amino acids, which are essentially molecules that, based on their structure or the way that they're linked together, define what that cell is going to do, right? So the protein cell for the arm looks differently than the protein cell for something like my pancreas, or the protein cell for something like my foot or my penis even. Like, they're all different and they have their own particular molecular structure. And what happens is, for someone to have, to build a cell, they need a specific number of amino. I think it's 9. There's 9 amino acids, right? And you need them all to build a cell perfectly. If you're missing even just one of them, the cell will have a mutation, meaning it will be malformed, right? And that is the basis of all mutations. Things like diseases like polio, cancer, all that shit that we see today, it's because of that. It's because of a lack of complete protein. Think of it as like, imagine you have a canvas and like you have this stamp, right? And essentially your protein is like the thing that fills the stamp, right? Now, your DNA is like the stamp maker, right? It gives the instruction. But if like you only fill maybe 90% of it, you won't have a complete picture. That's another weird way of thinking about it. I don't know if that made sense or not, but I hope it did. And what's crazy is you need to eat different types of meats, right, to get the complete proteins. That is the main way by which you get a lot of proteins easily and quickly. Meat, chicken, beef, steak, etc. Eggs, which is another huge source of protein. And it's actually my favorite, and was mine, and still is for the longest time. Simply because it contains a vitamin called riboflavin, which is necessary for immune function, energy production, and iron absorption, which is used for cell production. Iron is used all throughout the body for all these different things. And when you think about it, it's kind of fucking crazy, because you're like, what? Like, yeah, like the body works so synergistically that it's insane what can happen when you take out just one piece of it, right? So I hope that made sense, and I will just keep going, right? Because my goal for this video was to kind of just riff through concepts that I felt were more important than anything, that I believe that we honestly don't talk about a lot. And one of them is obviously understanding the oven. So the oven concept, calories in, calories out, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, you cut down the amount of calories until you're comfortable, because what will happen, you'll actually feel like you're a bit more depleted, because you're just operating at a lower energy level in the goals of forcing your body to resort to its own energy storage to burn off or to produce energy. So that means that it will burn off the fat that you have in order to break that fat down into carbs, which is the source of energy that the body uses to essentially live, right? So that's how you do it. And vice versa for gaining weight, right? If you're trying to gain weight, you just raise the caloric level from your basal metabolic rate. And what you're essentially doing is giving the body more energy, more room to grow, in the hopes that the exercise that you are doing essentially sculpts that energy, right? It's crazy because, like, one thing I notice a lot, for example, when people gain weight, they're like, fuck cardio. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? It's like, I don't know if you've seen this swag mantra video I talked about, where essentially it's like Goku, he's training in the hyperbolic time chamber, and he transcends Super Saiyan, I think in the Cell Saga, right? And like, he reaches this form that's like really fucking huge, but he has no mobility because that form trades power or agility for power. So he's really strong, but he can't move. He can't hit anything. He's really slow. And that's what I think about with people that fucking bulk the wrong way. Like, yeah, you can eat everything you want, but it's so much more efficient if, as you're building that mass and gaining that mass, you still stay on it. You still stay on top of yourself to essentially sculpt that new energy and essentially force it to become malleable, to become agile. Because you never want to lose that ability to be lean and quick and agile in whatever it is you're doing. I feel like that's one of the worst things to do in the world. You always want to just be able to move like a ninja, right? So by doing cardio, by staying active in your exercise, yes, maybe now, as opposed to when you're losing weight and you increase your reps in your workouts to essentially force your body to use more energy and actually deplete the fat or energy storage so that it can convert into protein and sculpt your muscle more. Now you're essentially increasing the energy storage and increasing the mass, right? So you're decreasing the amount of reps in your body to build strength, because you're just focusing on building volume or cell volume or mass, right? So even though you're doing that, that doesn't mean that you should still skip out on cardio, things that help with your breathing, that help with helping you literally get in touch with your breath and your energy and the way you move and the way you operate, the way your biomechanics are designed and formed. You know, like, I feel like those are just building blocks, like essentials, like fundamentals that should never be removed, right? So that's how I think about it. So yeah, as I mentioned, losing weight, take the number, decrease, and then beast mode, exercise, drink a fuck ton of water, make sure to think about how you eat, what kind of oven you have, and then go base your diet along with that. And then increasing or gaining weight, building strength, you're decreasing reps, increasing amount of weights, like you're lifting heavier, and then you're probably eating more, but you're also still drinking water and still doing cardio to ensure that mass build stays fucking efficient mass, not wasteful fucking mass. And conversely, or consequently, because you're doing that, the muscle that you're putting on actually ensures that you build more muscle and less fat, right? So those are things that I really wanted to mention. And then the last thing that I really wanted to say was the vitamins and minerals, right? I feel like a lot of times there are a lot of vitamins and minerals that we don't fucking consider getting in because we just eat like a shitty staple diet of just the same things, like cheeseburgers, fries, maybe pasta, maybe foods, etc., etc., right? So one way I like to look at it are the 5 elements, right? The Eastern philosophy model of looking at the body. And essentially there's 5 elements. There's space, or the ether, which has the characteristic of expansiveness. There's the element of air, which essentially resides in the mind, which deals with mobility. Water, which resides at the throat, which deals with fluidity. Fire, which essentially relies in the area of the tummy or the oven, which deals with temperature. And then there is air, water, fire, and then earth, which is essentially the body, right? Which is solidity, willpower, and strength. Water is flexibility, fire is temperament, and air is movement. And space is the absolute. You can actually look into this, and I talk in detail about them in the cultivating your body, harnessing your subtle energies video in the cultivating your life force series, right? And essentially, as I mentioned, each element has its temperament, its characteristic or personality in a sense, and deals with a specific and particular function in the body. What's interesting is you can actually eat foods that strengthen and enhance them and allow them to be cultivated by the atoms and essentially energy you get from your food, right? So for example, for fire, you can eat red meat, right? For the earth, you can eat grains, like grains food, like bread and whatnot. For water, you can eat fish. And for air, you can drink grape juice or water, right? So that's something that I thought was really cool that I don't often hear mentioned a lot. Another thing that I wanted to say was in relation to essentially the earth element, which is our body. And that is that our body is essentially comprised of minerals, so literally rocks and vitamins that allow it to function well. And when any one of these vitamins or minerals are in lack or deficient in the body, it causes a lot of problems, right? So that's really what I wanted to mention now. And for example, calcium, right? You really need it for your bones and your teeth. Strong bones create a strong foundation, right? So if you eat dairy products like cheese and eggs, etc., you will have really strong bones. It's a really funny story, but my mom said that like when I was young, she said, "This one, I'm gonna really fatten him up." So like compared to everyone else, like she fed me a lot of like cheese and a lot of like dairy products. And to this day, I still eat a fuck ton of eggs and stuff like that. And I think it's really helped me in my ability to think clearly and just be able to do more, right? So zinc is necessary for your immunity growth and fertility, right? So you need it essentially, obviously, to create good fucking sperm and to be healthy. And you get that from chocolate, beans, and spinach, right? So those are the minerals that I thought were really fucking crucial. And I feel we don't talk about them a lot. Like, eat more things that help you get calcium and zinc, right? So for vitamins like vitamin A, which is good for your eyes and overall cell tissue growth and development, you can get from carrots, sweet potatoes, and melons. For vitamin B, which is also partly riboflavin, you can get, which are used for immune function, energy production, and iron absorption. You get from eggs, dairy products, bananas, and grains. So as I mentioned earlier, eating eggs a lot really helped when I started losing weight, like a lot. And I feel like it was probably one of the things that contributed to me just gaining muscle rapidly and quickly and advancing in my lifts, because I just ate a fuck ton of eggs. What I first started doing was boiling them, so I'd eat boiled eggs, and then I even tried eating them raw, and then I realized, man, there's nothing like sunny side up eggs, those kinds, and even maybe sometimes flipping it on both sides. Throw a little twist in there. So that's something that really helped me. And then vitamin C for tissue repair, growth, and antioxidants. Antioxidants are the things in your body that fight against cancer and things that can cause damage to cells. And you get that from limes, oranges, strawberries, and grapefruits, which is really fucking crazy because I eat or drink a lot of fucking lemonade. Like, I love making my own lemonade or limeade, as I've been corrected recently. So I like just grab a lime, split it in two, throw it down in some water, and then add in just enough sugar, or I'm not gonna add a fuck ton of sugar to my fucking limeade because I really like it sweet. And then, because I know that I try not to go overboard with it, so I try not to do it too much because that is a fuck ton of sugar. But it's incredible. I think probably has something to do with the pH level of the body. Like, it needs to be at a certain range, probably between 0 and 7, for you to be at an optimal level. And if it's too acidic or too basic, that's when it starts causing issues. So that's something to think about. Vitamin D for strong bones system and mineral regulation. So body and mineral regulation. You get that from sunlight, obviously, meat, and eggs. So this is why you fucking need to go for that walk. Sunlight is one of the only ways from where we can get vitamin D, which is a crucial vitamin for body operation and a lot of things. Vitamin K for good blood, and you get that from greens. So salad, lettuce, etc., kale, spinach, etc., etc. Right? And that is pretty much it. So that was a lot in this video. Hope I didn't kill you. But as I mentioned, I was going to talk about how I did it, right? And then I'll probably insert my fucking timeline here. Right. So sometime, I think it was February, mid-February, let's just say, I was like, I need to take care of this weight. So the first 6 weeks, what I did was actually use protein. That was probably one of the only times in my life that I like constantly fucking kept using protein. And on top of that, what I would do is I'd wake up every day, throw on a hoodie, obviously, and then go run. So like my neighborhood is a street. I'd go down the street, make a left, and then go all the way straight. And at one point it goes up into this hill and curves. So I'd run all the way out there until it went out to the road. Then I'd just do this little loop back into the neighborhood, make a right on one of the adjacent streets, back onto that long road, and come down the hill and back to my house. And then the last stretch of the run, like maybe right when I'm turning onto the street of my house, I just sprinted because I feel like there's something to sprinting the last 100-yard or whatever stretch of your run. Like I feel like it raises your speed and like your stamina, because at that point you're already tapped out, and by applying your willpower and just being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill myself until I get home, you just force your body to push yourself to another level. So I would do that every single day. And then once I got home, I did this ab workout that I created for myself. I actually made a video about it, I believe. I'll link everything. And then in the afternoon, I would go to the gym and do the workout for that day, right? And then before the gym, I'd go play soccer. So I trained soccer for about like an hour 30, and then go to the gym and then come back. And like I did that for the first 6 weeks using protein, right? And it was fucking tough, but like I feel like it's amazing because you really see how much you can do and how much you can push yourself with little calories on. So I constantly felt like my energy levels were depleted, which I probably I pushed myself quite a bit, and like I actually wanted it that way because I just wanted to see what it would be like to tax my body that way. But I saw like insane results. Like I just got lean really, really fast, especially just doing the ab workout every day. So that was one thing. And then after week 6, I was like, that's when I really realized that there's a reason why I've always done things naturally, right? Like, again, I don't have anything against multivitamins and protein shakes, but I fully believe you're 10 trillion times better in the long run when you go the natural way than if you don't. Because I realize that essentially protein shakes they say it also helps with your recovery, right? The recovery blend is actually creatine, right? And I don't want to take creatine. Never tried it, never will. Now, 4 grams in a 28-gram scoop isn't much, right? But if you're taking 3 scoops or 2 scoops, or however much to meet that protein goal for today, say you're like, okay, I'm gonna shoot for an exact number of pounds that I weigh 2 protein grams, right? So an idea out there says you should take at least a pound of protein for every body weight, which I fully don't think is really necessary. And so 4 grams isn't much, right? But compound that, and that's a fuck ton of creatine in your system. And what I noticed is that because of that added substance, my body felt it. One way was like my shits were terrible, meaning I felt like I was constantly like I had like a fucking ball, and it was terrible. It took like the stool was really heavy, and sorry, I don't mean to disgust you, but it's just the bare honest truth. And on top of that, I felt like I got dehydrated a lot. Like it probably felt like what someone feels when they take a fat burner. And like I realized that because of that added extra, I had to do way more. So I had to eat way more vegetables, which on one hand, you might say it's a good thing because it's forcing you to get more greens, right? But if you think like me, I like to be efficient, and I don't like to do I like doing a lot. I love working hard, but I don't like to do things when it's not even necessary. Like, to me, that's like a waste of time. So as soon as I realized that, I realized what it was doing to my body, I just dropped the shake. Plus, it was also cool because it was annoying having to go back to the store all the time, every week and a half, and buy another fucking tub of protein shake. So I dropped it after week 6, and then kept going, maintained that same regime until about week, I want to say 11 or 12. Or all of this is documented, right? So I might actually make or attach a post, the Instagram post of the pictures, me recording, dropping all that shit, dropping the protein shake and all that. So I did this, I want to say until about week 10 or 11. And after that, I was like, fuck, I actually need the energy. Because, like, the morning run, what would happen is it would just drain me. And the rest of the day was hard, right? So if I was trying to do revenue generating activity for my business or make videos or anything, it was so hard to come up with the willpower for it because my body levels or energy levels were tapped. And I wasn't even putting in as much carbs because I was just trying to tough it out and just see how my body would respond to that stress. So once I took out the morning run, what I would do is I just continually, I'll still essentially go train soccer and then go to the gym and then maintain cardio. Like I do cardio the last 3 days of the week. So I go to the gym Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I like try to go run. Right, Friday and Saturday, I like wake up and I go run, and I do the ab workout then. And I did this for about, I think, 14 or 15 or 16 weeks. And it yielded tremendous results. So my point is, hard work is always the fucking right answer. Like, the hustle is always the fucking answer. It's like the one thing that you know you can do. And I feel like the more you polish yourself, the more you stick to your work ethic and become disciplined and focused, the results are so tremendous. Like, you'll have results, you have all these side effects that you never intended to happen as a consequence of you just going that extra mile, you going that extra step of discipline, that extra 1%. So, I guess my point is, don't fucking stop. Don't lose hope. In high school, when I played soccer in my high school year, I was nicknamed fucking donut because I was really fucking fat and I was really fucking obese. And the thing is, even though I was really fat, there was this idea in my head that, like, even if I'm going to be the last fucking person running while we're at practice training, I'm just never going to stop running. Even if my fucking run is at a pace to where it looks like I'm literally, like, slow walking or slow fucking jogging, I'm going to keep fucking going because in my head I'm running and doing as hard as I can, and I'll just push myself, even if that means I'm gonna vomit afterwards. And I think that mentality was literally the seed of the beast mode mentality. I still am so humbled, honored, and grateful to employ and use and have instilled in my nature and who I am today, because it carries so many results in all areas of life. So my point is, if you're starting or if you're on the way or if you're almost there and you're trying to, like, get that extra one, trying to lose it, don't fucking give up. Just keep going. Hammer down on the fundamentals, on the basics, on how you're eating, on how's your exercise, how's your form on each exercise, how's your diet, how's your water, right? How are the fruits, how are the microbes, how are the vitamins, before you worry about the excess, like, or the extra, like the supplements and all that shit. Because I guarantee you, once the fundamentals are taken care of, once the foundation is set in place, you're unstoppable. Like, you can only win if you set yourself up for the win every single time. Hope that made sense. As always, fucking swag out.